than your job. You're making more money than some people earn in a year in your one singular withdrawal or payout. How does that feel? Feels amazing, doesn't it? Contrast that feeling right now for the folks that are able to do it with how you felt right before when you first started listening to me. Oh, this guy. This guy, there's something wrong with this guy. If it was so good, he would have profitable students. Well, look around. I have the most. I have the most. Look around. It's undeniable. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know because of what I'm leaving up on YouTube, I'm not deleting one singular. I'm not deleting one single tweet. I'm not deleting any videos at all. Not one thing. It's all left up there for your edification, for your learning. Also, to cancel those people out there that want to try to sell something. You don't need to buy anything. If my name's attached to it, don't buy it. Don't buy it. You can find it on that YouTube channel. It's there. It's in a lot of videos. And there's going to be people out there trying to sell you, here's a study guide to make learning ICT faster. I promise you that's going to waste your money and waste your time, thinking you're going to learn it quicker because of somebody else's curated list of videos. Again, you're listening to people that are not showing that they have learned how to do it. So how are they going to give you a study guide? ICT private mentorship. If you can't do it, why would anybody pay you when it's already up on my YouTube channel for free? Come on. And you're a fool if you're paying for that stuff. Don't buy these scammers renditions of it. It's already happened. You walked this with me for the last 2 years. That was mentorship, where I had to sit down and tell you what I think the market was going to do on a daily chart, on an hourly chart, on a 15-minute chart. So we weren't just always on a 1-minute chart. I was giving you macro perspectives for the people that can't necessarily sit down with an intraday chart and trade that because life gets in the way, right? Or maybe it doesn't fit their style of trading. So I want to encourage you to just stay on course. Okay, stay on course, and I'm confident that I already have very, very strong students that want to see other people succeed. And they don't necessarily want to try to sell mentorships. But if you make yourself available to the ones that aren't doing very well, you know what? You'd be doing me a great respect because I've given it to you for free. And if you've learned how to do it well, and somebody out there struggling with wanting to learn how to do this themselves, by bending over and helping them get up to where you're at, that to me is one of the greatest lessons you learned from me. Because I want you to be able to see, by looking around, the world's changing. It's getting real dark, and winter's coming. And not everybody's going to do very well in that situation. And if I can inspire that charitable sense for your brother or your sister, I'm going to try to do it here. Because everybody else is going to be out there with a price tag attached to it. Just look, you know who they are. They're already showing you in the last 4 months, some of them even before that. They have something for sale. If they're really, really successful, they will be doing things for free. If their motivation is to help, they will be doing it for free. Now, I'm not knocking anybody that wants to make money. I've even taught my students how to run signal services. I've taught them that. I did not teach them, even though they just basically copied what I did in mentorship. Now they're running mentorships, and they've made millions of dollars, either taking what I've already said or just blindly share the actual videos. And I've had people that have bought those videos from other people from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20, and the last group was 2021. The last group of 2021, you know what they were predominantly? They were people that bought the bootleg versions of the videos. You know what their common denominator response has been? Having the videos wasn't enough. I had to be with you where you were telling us what the market was going to do day by day and watching it happen 90+%, always delivering. That's mentorship. And I told this to my group all the time. I said, you know, the videos aren't the mentorship. The core content is just a language. And I told them when I was done, I said, I could take those videos and put them up on YouTube and it isn't going to change anything. It won't change anything. Listen to Kit over at ICT Concepts. You know, he was scouring the earth, you know, going in back corners and stuff, doing, you know, drug deals to get ICT mentorship videos. He was doing whatever he could to get hold of them. I wasn't letting anybody else in. By itself doesn't help. Those videos that other people are going to sell you are not going to help you. What has to happen is you sit down doing the things that I walked you through. Now, I've already said this in the core content. I've said those things in core content. You have to do these things, practice like this. But even my paid members didn't want to listen to that because they were waiting for the easy 1, 2, 3. Here it is. I don't have to spend so much time and energy because I got things to do. And they're the ones that still, even from 2016 group, can't trade. They can't. Not for a lack of sound logic that's being taught to them, because I have students from 2016 that are murdering it right now. And I also have students that have done better than any other group, even the 2016 group, that were in the 2021. And I have students that never joined my private mentorship that discovered me in 2020 on YouTube that have now are earning multiple 6 figures a year trading just from what I taught for free. That should encourage you. That should encourage you because every one of those groups are a different walk of life. And the ones that are succeeding are doing what? They're not putting a time limit on they have to learn it by this time. I have to know everything. I have to take everything the ICT says and place it into my trading approach or my model. That's a fool's errand. You can't do those things. And when I teach all these new concepts, it was never with the intent to try to confuse you. I've always told you, this is just another perspective, one more thing to use if you don't see the optimal trade engine. Okay, if you can't really dial in on a fair value gap, which I think, to me, I don't understand how anybody can't see a fair value gap because it just basically jumps off the chart. But that whole business of trying to place everything like a kitchen sink approach doesn't work in any model of trading, not just my stuff, but anything. I mean, look at all the available indicators for overbought and oversold. I did that same stuff when I had Metastock as a young man. I used that trading platform, or not trading platform, but it was a trading software. And I had end of day data. I didn't have real time. And we had to get all of our ASCII data downloaded at the end of the day. And then it would populate your chart. So having that as my only means of looking at price charts, I saw all these indicators. I'm like, wow, look at this. I mean, I could put like 12 indicators on this chart. And eventually got to the point where I couldn't see the chart. And I had more faith in what the indicators were telling me. And I wasted years doing all that nonsense. And you see these guys out here that are just trying to do the same thing by placing all their faith in the mathematically tortured data of open, high, low, and close. You shouldn't have any faith in that stuff because price doesn't even refer to it. And how is anyone going to be able, if we were in a courtroom, okay, and you were the one on the side of defending, you're defending the usage of indicators in price action, okay? How are you going to demonstrate? How are you going to demonstrate that price is going to do whatever it's going to do based on CCI? RSI, MACD, stochastic, Williams percent R. Which one is it going to respect today and why? And why not the others? You would fall on your face. But now roll in ICT. All right, here's price. We're in a discount. It's taken sell side. It's already had a shift in structure. There's buy side, relative equal highs here. The time of day. This is when the market will start spooling. It's going to run. It's already cleared sell side. And now we're waiting for a fair value gap to form, the low price. And then when it goes into there, we're going to be buying that with a stop loss that goes right below the low that creates the fair value gap. And we're going to take a partial halfway between where we're entering and the draw on liquidity. That's easy. That's simple. And then the final terminus is the buy side liquidity. That's double tap. Remember that on Baby Pips? Oh my goodness, that's a flashback, right? So that's simple. I could stand in front of the CFTC, in front of any judge, and do this every single day. I don't care how long. Make the court last long. I don't care, because I can do this every single week, every single day. It's going to be there. Period. I've been proving it for years. And I'm telling you, when you understand that, when you're able to do that yourself, that's not arrogance. That's confidence. That's confidence that you don't have to struggle and scrape around trying to dig in the back corners for something new. You have everything that every trader wants to know. I told you from the beginning. I know what every trader wants to know. I know it. And I taught it. I demonstrated over and over and over again. And for some of you, it was enough for me just to teach it to you. Well done. Well done that you took the initiative to find your own proof. That you took the challenge. I told you, go in and see if it isn't in your charts. Because if it's BS, you're going to see it right away because it won't repeat. There won't be any consistency behind it. There won't be any quote unquote edge. Dude, it's a razor's edge, sharpened to a fine edge. And it's there all the time. Look at the evidence all around us now. So many people coming forward. I have so many guys that are in jail right now. They're listening to this with a phone they're not supposed to have. Shout out to you, bro. But they're learning how to trade. And then they come out into the world. They come out into the world, and you know what it's like. You know what it's like. I was a manager, okay? I was a manager, and Keith White, I know you can't hear me, but this man used to hold up drug dealers. I can respect that. First of all, that person that's selling the drugs, he's not in the community's, he doesn't have the community's best interest in mind, okay? He's an opportunist. Keith said, well, you know what? If anybody deserves to be held up, it's them, and I know they're going to have the money. So he and his buddy would roll up, boom, give me your stuff. And the guy that said no and tried to run away, he shot him in the right butt cheek. Well, that put him in jail for attempted murder. So he did a number of years and then got out and couldn't get a job. Nobody would hire him. He was on probation, whole business. And then he crossed paths with me, and he said, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. This is where I'm at. This is what I did. But if you give me a chance, I'll work hard for you. All right. Really? That easy? Yep. Why? I said, my father's a contract murderer, and I know if he ever gets out of jail, I'm going to be the one that has to employ him because nobody will. So I know. So why did I have a dad that was a contract murderer? To give me the heart of someone to give the opportunity for people that would otherwise not have an opportunity. See, I can look back on all this stuff now and see how God placed all these things in front of me to become who I am as a person. But this guy, Keith, turned out to be the best employee I ever had. My son, Caleb, I would literally trust him as a child around this man, knowing full well that he had respect for me because I gave him respect first. I wished many times that he wouldn't have got himself wrapped up with somebody that got him in trouble and he reverted back to something that he couldn't do, because when I was no longer able to guide him, he got himself in trouble, and now he's doing time for home invasion. So he's going to be up there probably for a long time. I wish he would have learned, like some of the men that have come out. And recently we just seen one. Gentleman came forward, said, look, this is it. I came out of jail. I did things, I'm not proud of. I'm turning things around. And you know what? You know what? Slinging rock, doing all the things on the street corners and stuff like that. I trained people that used to do that stuff, and they make more money, and they feel better about themselves doing it this way than doing it that way. And I'm sure that gentleman, and like everybody else that would do it this way, makes them feel good, makes them feel like, a sense of accomplishment, that they're doing it themselves. No one's giving them anything. They're working for it. So that way, their credit can't be shared with nobody else. And I got respect for that. I got all kinds of respect for that. Because this world's hard. It's not easy. It's not owing you any freebies. Even though that I didn't charge money, those lessons take time and energy, effort, and faith. Not in me, not in those concepts. It takes faith in yourself. Are you going to be able to stick to what it's requiring you to do? Because most people don't. You tap out too soon. You have no idea how far you're going to be able to go. But you take a little bit of adversity, a little bit of discomfort. You think these guys that were in jail, you think they don't know what discomfort is? They know exactly what discomfort is. So when they come out, they're highly motivated. They're highly motivated because their channel of opportunities have been reduced greatly versus what you and I would have. If I wanted to go out there right now, there's a number of different jobs that I could be qualified for, but I would never want to do. But as a convict recently, on parole, that's hard. That's really hard because there's a lot of managers that would say, you know what, I'm going to look for a better qualified candidate. What you're saying is you're probably going to be a problem for me and I'm not going to risk it. Where I looked at it and said, you know what, they're honest. They told me right off on Jump Street, this is what I am. This is what I did. I did my time. I'm out now. I'm looking for an opportunity. And if you give me a chance, I'll work hard for you. Done. You came to me honestly. You told me what you did wrong. You told me what you're doing differently, and you want to work. And you challenged me to see if you're a good worker. I'm going to know right away, just like I teach you. You're going to know right away if those concepts are BS. You will see nothing in the charts doing those things. You would not see these fair value gaps form a silver bullet between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock every single day. But it's there every single day, reaching for an obvious relative equal high or relative equal low, or a singular high or singular low. Which one's better, ICT? Relative equal high, relative equal low. Why? Because they're going to see that as support and resistance. It's going to be very, very influential to the sentiment aspects of how retail traders see what price is doing and how they would trust it. A singular high and low, that's enough for me. And for some of you, you've traded that way for a long time now. But if you're going to ask me which one has more significance, if you can see relative equal highs, it's going to run there. If it's relative equal lows, it's going to run there versus a singular high or low. Okay. But that stuff works every single day. Nobody's come out there and said, look, it doesn't work. The only thing that's coming out is people saying, wow, it's really there. And look, I just made money. What's going on? I've been trying to do all this other stuff and it's nothing easier than this. Exactly. That's exactly the perspective I want all of you to have. And it's mine. I'm already 5 minutes over. Give me 10 more minutes. My hope is for you to be inspired by everybody else that's coming forward, showing real proof. Okay? You can say what you want to say about different brokerage firms, because there's no broker out there that's good. Okay? They're all doing the same thing. They're trying to get you to trade because they want your commission. And if they run booking, they want you to trade because they want to take your money. Okay? That's this business. You should know that coming in. And you can say what you want to say about the funded companies, which I have no affiliation with, but they all have their goods and their bads. Okay? You can see people that are doing really well. Sometimes they're not getting paid out. I don't know the details behind it. Some of them are being banned. I don't know the details behind that. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not interested to know any of that stuff. I don't need to trade with a funded account. But for some of you, you're seeing these very companies interviewing your brothers and sisters in this community. And they're coming out and saying the very same thing that I told you. If you put the time and effort into this, you will be able to do what most people can't. And you're going to stand apart. They're going to recognize you. You're not doing 2% gains. Okay? You're not making $1,000 and calling it a victory. You're taking down annual salaries, the average annual salary. Look at what the folks are doing in this community. How can you not be razzed by that? Like, how can you not be inspired? Say, you know what? I'm at home. I'm around people that can see something that I've been inquisitive of, curious about, but never really felt the inspiration to really take a step forward and do it. But now look at all this evidence of people that are being interviewed by companies. You think these companies are just going to give this money to people randomly? Think about it. I don't have any kickback from any of these companies. They've asked me for affiliations, and I've said no. Not all of them, but most of them have. Because if I do that, guess what that does? It mars my opinion. It makes it biased. So I can talk unbiased about all of them because I have no affiliation with them. If I say something good about them, it's what I feel is genuinely my opinion about it. Doesn't mean it's right. It just means that's my unadulterated opinion that has no influence at all because somebody paying me for an opinion. That's what you want. You don't want to be listening to advice from people that are highly affiliated because are they really telling you what they would tell you if they weren't affiliated? I don't know. You don't know because it's hard to differentiate. And I want to be in a position where if you're going to listen to me, if I have any influence over you, I want you to know that there's nothing in it for me. I've already put my core content mentorship. It's on the YouTube channel. I'm not doing a future mentorship. I told you I'm not putting any more YouTube videos up. How am I going to make more ad revenue? It's going to diminish over time. So what am I here for? I'm here because I've already done the work. I've shared it with you. It won't cost you anything but the time and energy to go in and look at it. And if you don't find any value in it, then you don't find any value in it. It doesn't change the effectiveness of it. It just means that you didn't put the effort in long enough doing the things that you should have been doing and found the results that you're looking for. But they're not going to come on a time-based schedule. You can't time your success. Okay? You can't say, I'm going to be successful by this time. Because the only thing you did is you placed so much mounting pressure on you that everybody that would try to do that would probably cave. Do every athlete in the world that does an event that would be equivalent to an Olympic event, do they all make it to the Olympics? No. No. Do the boxers that work really hard to qualify to get to be in the Olympics, do they all get to be in the Olympic? No. Would you want to box any of them, that ones that didn't? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to do that because they're trained. They trained very, very hard. They just fell short of that mark. But they're still way better than the average person in terms of fighting. No, I'm not saying street fighting. I'm saying, like, if you're just going to only just be a pugilist and punch only, and you have no grappling skills, no ground and pound, none of that stuff, you're not going to want to exchange hands with somebody like that, even if they're lighter than you. You take an MMA guy. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers over here. I got to bring some kind of controversy. It's my last one. I don't care how good your MMA is. Okay, I don't care how good that is. If we're standing up, okay, if we're standing up, you are not headlocking nobody. You're not ground and pounding anybody. You're not slamming anybody. You're not choking people, which I wish they would take that out of MMA because honestly, that's not skill. Okay, and I get so much flack from other martial arts about that. Oh, come on, I got like 50 different ways to do a shimewaza. Shimewaza choking technique, and to me, a child, if they get a person in quick enough, an adult will fall to that. So to me, I don't think that's skill. Submissions, yes. I think that's a means of tapping out. You cause that other person to tap out and submit to you. But a choke, I don't think that should be allowed in MMA. But a boxer, if a boxer and an MMA guy, I don't care who it is, I don't care what striker in MMA there is, you place them in front of a well-versed boxer. That boxer's beating that ass. It's happening, okay? Because they're training to do what? To find your chin and put you to sleep. Now, MMA artists, they're trying to do everything. 90% of what they're trying to learn is on the ground. But what is a boxer trying to do? Never go on the ground. So the first 30 seconds of a fight is a boxing match. That's what it is. So I say all this to say that you you don't want to try to be a master of everything as a trader. Don't try to do that. See, MMA, mixed martial arts, look at the name. They're mixing what they think is the best of everything out there. No, it still doesn't take away the fact that there are some guys that walked into that octagon and literally laid waste. I mean, it was really fun if you look at the first two or three Ultimate Fighting Championships. If you ever watched them, I mean, that to me was crazy. Like it was $15 to watch some really mismatched fellas get out there and go to town. But that's exactly what it's going to be like in the street. See, in the street, you're not going to find somebody that's your same weight, comparable in every aspect, within the same weight class. You're going to end up in the bar, and the biggest guy is going to come over to you when you're in a drunken stupor, not able to stand up, okay, and he's going to throw you around. That's exactly what the UFC was doing. That's the real world. That's how it is, okay? And they don't have weight classes out in the street. Well, in trading, you don't know what weight class the market's going to operate in that day, just like you don't know what indicator it's going to respect, which is why it's nonsense to even believe in that. So you have to take it back down to, okay, what is it likely to do? Okay, it's going to move a lot of momentum, one directional, at very specific times between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning. Why? Why does it do that? Because at the 9:30 opening, a lot of orders come rushing in. Big trading firms and clearing houses, they funnel a lot of orders in there because why? There's liquidity. Everybody's chomping at the bit to get in or get out based on that opening price. And that brings in a lot of liquidity that allows for order flow to come in real quick. But it will evaporate quick. So what does it do? It uses that initial surge of inflow of orders to run to the obvious liquidity that's above or below the marketplace. What is it reaching for? Many times it's the opposing direction of where the daily range will reach for. So an example would be you're looking at a marketplace and your ideal scenario is you think the market's going to go higher. So you're not trying to go short. You really want to wait and see what it does at the opening price. That initial opening, 9:30, opening bell, everybody's in there clamoring to get in there and do something. All kinds of order flows coming into the marketplace. Boom, 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 boom. That will evaporate. So what is it going to do after that initial surge of interest and all the clearing firms that come through with their orders hitting the marketplace in the first 15 to 30 minutes? What is it going to do? It's going to reach for the resting pending orders above the marketplace, above a singular high or above relative equal highs. So what is that initial move dropping down at 9:30 to 10 o'clock? Judas. It's fake move. So you're waiting for all that stuff. But then at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, you have that distribution phase of the morning price swing, where whatever it's going to do in the morning going into New York lunch, it's going to be directional, and it's going to run real quick into that buy side, up to, but not limited to, 11 to noon, New York local time. Now, that is a very generic perspective to hold in the marketplace. But if you look for that when the market's predisposed to go up, you got it locked. The only thing you're waiting for is a fair value gap to wait for a price to drop down into on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minute, or if you're inclined, less than a 1 minute, 15 second, 30 second, 45 second, 5 second time frame. It's not complicated, folks. It's really, really simple stuff. But the complication comes with you're trying to find where COT fits in all that. Where does the commitment traders fit in all this, ICT? I'm really struggling with the break of market structure. Where's that in the turtle soup? I'm sorry, not the turtle soup. Where's that in the silver bullet? Where's that? It's not there. You're looking for liquidity. You're looking for liquidity. You literally can wait between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock and say, okay, what has already happened? Sell side's been taken. All right, am I bullish? Weekly expansion is likely to, I'm wanting to see that weekly candle go up. Okay, then I already have a selection that I want to be a bull. I want to be buying only. So you filtered out every shorting opportunity. I don't care how good it looks, you're not taking it. And that's going to be hard for you to see a lot of these really dynamic sell-offs. You just watched me short the S&P the other day, and the NASDAQ was saying, no, no, S&P, you're crazy. I'm not going down there like that. I'm not going down like that, okay? I'm not going out like a fool. I'm not going down like a chump. I got somewhere to be today. And I'm very proud of you that I sent out that Mount St. Helens picture. That was a subliminal little marker for my students. It's getting ready to blow up. And NASDAQ was doing what, relatively? It was saying, no, I'm not interested in going down. So it was what? The relative strength leader to the upside. So I shorted the weak one. Didn't get it, went right down to my price, but the spread didn't let me get out. That's the price of precision sometimes. The difference between the spread, the bid and ask. But that's okay. To me, I think that it's fun to be that precise, to have my order sitting right there, and I've already taken a profit, so it doesn't matter if it takes the terminus out. I don't care. But if it turns around here, guess what that proves? It proves visibility. It proves conceptual idea that it can be timed. There is sound logic behind it. And I was so precise, the only difference between me getting that fill was the bid and the ask. How much better can you be but not get the mark? You can't get any closer to it than that, right? So that's the right perspective. So when you have that, and you see me now, I guess that's the second time you see me do it this year, where I've had a resting order in and just the spread denied me the actual exit on the limit order resting. But some of you get mad about that. And you're like, oh, what's the perspective to hold with this? I'm angry about this. Don't get angry. You should be thankful that you have the laser guided precision to even to include a limit order there, where nobody else in the retail universe would ever have that. They're looking for, wedges and bull flags and inverted head and shoulders, and I gotta stop. But you have really the easiest thing in the world if you're trading a silver bullet. In Robbins, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not bringing out Enigma. I'm not doing Model 2022. I'm not doing Artemis patterns. I'm not doing, Reapers. Nothing. But just simply silver bullet. Because in my mind, when I created that, like I wanted it to be so easy for my child to be able to see it, know what time it's going to be there. So that way they're not anxious. They're not anxious to worry about, am I going to miss the move? Because think about how much you're fearing all the time. Your FOMO is off the charts. Any given day. Man, I hope ICT tweets about what if ICT could just tell me in a tweet to note this level, I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm not going to have any reservations. I'm going to take that trade because ICT is pointing to that liquidity. He's basically telling me, signed, sealed, delivered, it's going to happen. And for some of you, that's what you're afraid of with me not being around doing anymore. And you shouldn't be afraid about that. This is that next logical step in your development where you, as that eaglet, is getting pushed out of the nest. And it's scary. The eaglet doesn't know what's on the outside of that nest. And it fights its parents when it's being pushed towards the edge of the nest. It's never been outside to know that it's dangerous. It's never known it. But it knows enough to know, I don't want to be out there. I want to be close to you. This is home. I want to be close to you, mom and dad. But nonetheless, that eagle is not meant to be in a nest forever. God gave it wings to fly. And it can't use those wings until it's pushed into a situation where it has to use them. You have the tools. You have been given the instructions. You've been given the mindset, how to look at things, how to avoid certain things, how not to think about these things that create pitfalls in trading. That's what I've talked most about because that's the very thing that's going to be your undoing. It's not going to be your winning. It's going to be how you think about what you didn't do right or that you did right but wasn't good enough. And what is that going to do? FOMO, fear, greed, over trading, over leveraging. And all of those things are going to be your downfall if you allow them. If you've taken everything I've ever said, either in text or in audio format, whether from a video or like this on Twitter Spaces, I probably wrote dozens of books already by now. But none of you would have been willing to pay any amount of money if I said trade psychology according to ICT. There'd probably be a handful of you who probably would have bought it, but most of you wouldn't have. But the real secrets to precision order block entries. Oh man, that's the one that's on the top sellers list. I'm a #1 bestsellers list on everything, right? But that won't help you. See, if you stay in the game long enough, you're going to find what you excel at. And you're also going to learn the things that you do incorrectly, that you're prone to repeating over and over again, like trading without stop loss or trying to be better than the next person because they have more attention given to them. And you do reckless things. And those reckless things are the very barriers to your success. You're the one that's in the driver's seat with it. I mean, think about it like this. When I teach my students to look at a weekly chart, you're looking at what is to be the next weekly candle. Are we among weekly candles that have been recently enlarged? Have they been increasing in size, or have they been reducing in size, or have they reduced from big ranges down to smaller ranges and it's still in small ranges? Having a period of time studying your chart with that perspective on a weekly chart is hugely advantageous because we just saw a lot of movement this week in the indices. So naturally, over the weekend, people are going to be making up their mind about what they want to do next week. What do they want to do? They want to buy. They want to chase price going up. Now, what you don't realize is November 7th, I told my private students that the high on the NASDAQ at 15,468, that buy side, was in the crosshairs. It was going to reach for that. And then the fair value gap just to the left of that will be filled. Now, I say that only because there is more than what you see, but what you don't see is not required because I've always publicly proven these things to you. I've given you ample evidence to understand that this stuff repeats over and over and over again. It's not enough to call a move. It's not enough. That's not impressive. It would have never impressed me to only hear somebody that would be calling me or calling themselves a mentor of me or anyone else to say, I called that move. I was looking for this thing to happen. But in the same sentence, 30 seconds before, it might do this, but then when it does the other, say, I called that move. And that was another driving force behind me returning back to Twitter because there's a lot of people with a lot of following that scribble over a chart and they give you 2 scenarios and they don't even tell you which one they favor. And then at the end, many times, they don't even do either one of those scenarios. And yet people still clamor and worship them. That's not jealousy. I'm not jealous of anyone because nobody else is out there doing what I'm doing and what I've done. And I'm trying very hard to inspire those of you that want to be in the position of influence. The way you get there is walk the talk. Don't say something and not be able to do it and show it. Don't claim something in terms of precision and not be able to demonstrate it. Not just a singular event, but week after week after week after week after week after week for a year, for a year and a half, for 2 years, for 6 years behind a paywall where everybody would have came forward and said, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Because that never happened. And I gave you 2 years of what it was like to be under my tutelage, where I had to show it to you before it happened. You should be inspired by that. I know I would have been. I know I would have been. I would have found my home, and I probably would have saved myself a lot of money with buying books and chasing other people, because I would have seen the evidence that this stuff is in the price action. It repeats. Because only a fool can look at the level of testimonials with people coming forward making real money, not demo dollars. And they learned how to make that real money from a demo baller. Everything they learned from a demo chart, a demo trade, a demo account in the hands of a guy that was honest and came forward and said, I'm teaching you this through the guise of a demo for compliance reasons, because I'm not a licensed financial advisor. That's why you never saw me call my live trades when I was trading with the AMP account. Because guess what I'm acting as that way? A financial advisor. And no one can claim I'm doing what? Front running my orders. Everything is scheduled. Everything was planned. I already know what questions you're going to have, and I already know what the trolls are going to say, and that's why I'm going to beat the shit out of that Robbins competition next year. I'm not even going to come back and say, I told you so. I don't need to do it. It's going to be obvious. So my question to you is, has your time been with me? Has it been fruitful? Did you have as much fun as I have had? You know, this is actually pretty good, even cold. I guess it's kind of like what those people do when they drink that cold. Like, I've never been a coffee drinker. I love the way it smells, don't get me wrong, but it tastes horrible. And this is kind of like what I think cold coffee would taste like. It's better than like a chocolate milk, but I don't know. I'm digressing here. But I've had so much fun. I've been up all night long thinking about, what did I want to talk about? Who did I want to talk about? And what did I want to revisit and whatnot? And honestly, I've said it all. Like, I've already said it all. And I want to save this part here, and then at least I have a clear conscience now. I know there's a lot of you that really, you're listening to me right now, but you hate me, which I don't get that. But if we've ever exchanged words, just know that it was all for the sake of drawing a crowd. That's all it was. I don't know any of you from Adam. I don't know what you do in life, if you're successful or if you're profitable or not. But I've always provoked everybody on Twitter. I've always done that. That was my style. That was my MO. I would go right up to the people and say, hey, you can't do this, and here it is. And the only thing they can say is you're a demo trader. But I'm doing something with a level of precision that you watch me do with a real account this year. It's undeniable. And they wouldn't bring forward any evidence that they could do it either. Like, you would never watch them take a trade. Like, I pioneered a new wave of other people that are openly sharing. Because it used to be, show me your MyFX book. Fuck your MyFX book, because that's fake. Show me a blank canvas chart with live data. I don't give a shit if it's demo or not. You go in with a laser precise entry with a real hard stop loss, manage that stop loss throughout the entirety of the trade to a target that you had predetermined. You do that dozens of times over the course of several months in a row, using the same logic that you claim is behind your Mickey Mouse bullshit. You do that, then you have a reason to have an audience. People have no excuse not to listen to you now because you've done something that 90% won't do. But look, you can tell who's been here. You can tell who your brothers and sisters are because they're out there showing you what? Executions from beginning to end, trade management with a stop loss. Guess who inspired that? Good old ICT. Oh, here he is. He's claiming he's the only person that ever did a trade. Look, I'm not saying the guys out there trading with MACD and RSI, moving average crossovers, aren't trying to do something, but they're wrecking themselves on their live streams. They're wrecking themselves publicly, dismantling themselves. I'm saying, look at the logic that's been taught to you for free and how many people have it in their repertoire now, and they are not afraid. They are absolutely not afraid, and they have confidence that they know what they are able to do is going to repeat for them, and that's why they're barking the loudest. When people talk shit to them, they're like, let's go right now, and all of a sudden their Velcro balls drop off. I love that. I love that because that means, number one, they know where they're at in their trading. And for the people that don't respond, get real quiet, and they clam up, that tells you volumes. That tells you volumes about them. They don't have confidence. If they have any success, it's hit and miss. Do you want to listen to somebody that has that? Do you want to learn from somebody that has an anemic level of confidence that many times, I guess in a lot of ways, it would borderline on arrogance. But, you know, if you really can do something, if you really, really can do something, and you choose not to do it because, well, you got better things to do, that's just too much of a cop-out. If you really love what you do and you have the time and effort to say that you can do these types of things, right? And you go on and on and on about how you can do this, you make this, but you're not even willing to just show a trade. Just show us. I mean, if you're going so far as to claim in comments to other people, my students, me, other teachers, other traders, other mentors, clamoring in their comment section, talking about, I do this and I do that, but there's nothing in terms of evidence showing that you even know how to enter a trade. Listen, we have raised the bar so fucking high now that these people that have been frauding and scamming people for so long, they're mad as shit. I'm getting threats all the time now. I told my private students earlier in the week, I'm getting death threats all the time. It's happening all the time because I've crushed their whole business model. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Go to my YouTube channel, learn how to do it, and that way you can help your students be profitable. Don't even have to mention me. I don't care. Stop hurting people. You don't have to worry about it then. You actually feel better about yourself because I'm not losing any fucking sleep. So anyway, I tried to get out of here before that kicked in. That's why I wanted to go about an hour. I usually could go about an hour before I swing, but I guess it wouldn't be a Twitter space without a other end of the spectrum. I didn't want to have any sentence enhancers in here, but I'm interested in seeing what your goals are. Before I close this Twitter tonight, not close it by deleting anything, but my last post will be a little vignette directing you on how to go forward. It won't be long because obviously Twitter has the capped at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which I always usually come around about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The tweet I send right before that, I'm going to title it Inner Circle Traders Yearbook. And I'm asking you, because I see a lot of tweets that I miss. There's also some tweets that pop up at the bottom on my Twitter that I should have seen, but I don't see them sometimes. I don't know why they don't appear in my feed. People will respond to me or they'll send stuff to me. They'll reply to a tweet, and I don't always see them. And then there's sometimes where it looks like there's like 15 different replies, but when I click on it, there's nothing I can see because I guess it's some kind of scammer trying to promote to whoever would read my tweets. But the yearbook post or tweet that I make tonight will be the third tweet in my feed that will always be there. The first one is the pinned one where it says, I'm not selling anything. So that way, anybody that has my name associated with something, or if they're trying to say, here's my Telegram channel, I give you signals, join Inner Circle Trader over on Telegram. It's all bullshit. You're not getting into a Telegram channel with me. You're not going to get signals from me. I'm not going to be teaching you mentorship. You're not going to get a PayPal link. You're not going to get a crypto payment link to me. None of that stuff. I'm not asking for any fucking money. I'm not making any more YouTube videos to make more ad revenue. I'm not teaching anything else. Okay, so all that stuff is going to be bullshit. So the first and only tweet that you're going to see on my feed that will be there forever, as long as Twitter's around, is the one where it says, I don't charge any money. Okay. The second tweet will be this short little vignette video I add tonight that will post at 11:59. It'll be produced and timed. I'll probably be asleep, and it'll post, and that'll be the last ever post in this stream as Inner Circle Trader. But the post right before that, which will probably be around 9 o'clock tonight, the tweet will be posted with the title saying Inner Circle Trader's Yearbook. I'm asking you if you would be so kind to, I've done this before, but a lot of you were like sending it already. I wanted it to be at the beginning of my feed, so that way I can go back and scroll through it. And in the future, into 2024 and beyond, if the Lord lets me stay around long enough, I want to be able to come back to that tweet and see your successes. So if you have ever passed the trading combine, if you've ever had a payout, if you ever had a profitable withdrawal, any success at all, that's the place where I want you to put it, because I want to be able to look at that on the weekend when I'm going to be missing all of you. I'm going to be missing being here, because as much as I love my wife, I love being Inner Circle Trader. I've been a lot of different personas online, but I've loved this one more than any of them. And I'm gonna want to be here, but I won't be. And it'll satisfy me to be able to see your ongoing successes, and also to remind myself that it wasn't wasted time. I already know it wasn't wasted time, but I want to be able to relive it. I want to be able to relive it at a fingertip, push a button, and I can scroll back and see the many lives that I've touched. I've been so blessed to be in a position to be an influence. Maybe not always the best influence, but the influence to try to kick you in the ass, to do more. And don't complain. Don't expect shit for free. Work for it. Work for it, and you'll appreciate it more. When you earn it, nobody can take it from you. Just because I gave it to you for free doesn't mean that when you get success that you didn't earn it. You worked your ass off to get it. It wasn't going to be easy, I promise that, but you still stuck with it. And there's going to be times where I'm going to be wanting to tweet. There's going to be times where I want to open up Twitter space. There's going to be times where I want to be on YouTube. But I have to deny myself that. And you'll help me by sharing those things. You'll help me feel like that the investment I made in you was worth it. I know it'll be worth it if you just put the effort behind it. You have to test me and see if that's true or not. But you have no excuse now. You see so many people attributing their success to sticking to what they were taught. And it works. Do they lose money sometimes? Sure they do. Just like I said they would. Do they make money? Well, like I said before, do you honestly believe that these brokerage firms, these funded account companies that are paying out not a little bit of money, I mean, they're pretty respectable amounts of money, you think they're just going to just give this out to people? There's no incentive for them to do something like that. Well, I have no affiliation with them. Zero. They're not paying me, and I've never opened up a dialogue where we could have a partnership, but they have reached out to me, and it's no. Respectfully, it's no. And I've been that way with everything. Some of the offers I've been receiving for other things too, I know that there's going to be a lot of you that are going to end up in a situation if you get a large enough following. I'll know when you start mentioning certain businesses that offered up some really big, big incentives, and still it's no. Because I want you all to know that this whole delivery was heartfelt. I mean that I want to see your success, and I believe you can have it. And I know I have more faith in you than you have in yourself right now, but that will change if you take the challenge of going through the content and trying to apply it to the charts, knowing that it's going to take you a little bit more time than you probably expected to, but still sticking with it, but not trying to push everything into it. For a new listener or for a new student, my opinion is if you go through the 2022 mentorship, there's like 40 videos there. It doesn't take you long. You can go through that in about a week comfortably. I probably would counsel you to go through over the course of like 3 weeks, to spend an appropriate amount of time with each video and think about what questions come up after you watch the video and see if they don't get answered in the next or subsequent lessons that's in that series. And then as soon as you're done that, go right into looking at the silver bullet because they'll complement one another. And if you look at that and you have a well-rounded approach to risk management, not over leveraging, using the smallest leverage that's available, you have it. You do that until you get more experience. And your experience, where you're not hopped up on goofballs to trade with more leverage because you've been successful, when you get to the point when you're successful and you're consistently able to do it, but you don't feel the inclination to go out there and try to over leverage because you know that if you do that, it's going to cause you to be anxious in a trade that even though you know you can do very well, you've historically done it with either paper trading or tape reading before the paper trading, demo trading rather. I'm talking my age, I know. That moment, that the word escapes me right now. That very moment where you know that you're unfazed by the consistency. And it's a very hard thing to describe because until you feel it, until you experience it and endure it yourself, you really won't really appreciate what I'm saying here until you get to that point. But when you know that that this is going to repeat, but you also know and are comfortable with the idea that you as the operator in the model, you're probably going to mess it up sometimes. You might get it wrong. It's okay. It won't undo you as a trader. It won't undermine the efficacy of the trading model or the concept. But you know that tomorrow, if it was a trading day, next week, next February, next, September, you know the things that you're looking for in terms of a trade, they're going to materialize in the time frames that given day. It's going to happen. That's power. Ask anybody out there, what time and day is their harmonic fucking horseshit going to appear in the chart place? It ain't going to happen. They can't tell you that. They cannot tell you that. Why do you think these high frequency trading algorithms have billions of dollars behind it? You think they're just going to risk it on some willy-nilly bullshit? Some Rudy-poo, candy-ass, fruity, fresh, and tooty bullshit that has no idea why the market's going to go up and down. They're going to risk billions of dollars with multiple entries in the span of 15 minutes. Because they're doing things on a statistical probability that you're unaware of. I gave you a stripped down to the brass tacks of what time a simple little strategy that's visual. There are things that I know that you can't see in price, but I gave you something that's very, very specific and it's visual and you can set a clock to it. It's going to occur at the times I told you it's going to occur. You can't tell me as an RSI trader, you can't tell me this trade's going to form within this 10-minute window every fucking day. You can't do that. If you can, prove it. Prove it. Not with one Mickey Mouse example. Come out here, walk it for a year. No, that's asking too much. Admit it, that's way too much. Do it for a month. Man, you get a lot of clout if you do that. You can't tell in advance what time your shit's going to present. But I've been making a mockery of everything else because I know what time it is. It's ICT fucking time. Okay? It's ICT time. I can time the market. Y'all think it says I can't trade. Shit, I'm about to show you, motherfuckers. You have so many things that I wished I had. I'm envious of you. I'm so envious of all of you. I wish I could have had this coming up. I would have had so much more fun. I could have saved myself so much pain and anguish, loss, physical ailments, relationships, good grief, everything. And despite having all these advantages, some of you don't even recognize what you have. It's astonishing to me. For the folks that are making money now, they're convinced. You're never going to convince those people that what they've invested in terms of time and learning how to do, you're never convincing them. You're never going to convince them that there's something else that they can do that's easier, that's more precise, that is highly effective to this degree. You're never going to do it, folks. It's never going to happen. And see, that's why everybody else out there that has some kind of Mickey Mouse service, some kind of retail logic with all kinds of indicator horse shit on it, all these things that's taking your attention away from price action, that's why they're scared shitless right now, because the marketplace is diminishing. And so you think all these people are going to learn how to trade ICT and they're going to change the algorithm. For the last time, okay? Pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. Sit down, okay? I want you to listen to me. When the market's going to go down, it doesn't matter whether you know it's going to go down or not, but if the market is going to go down, someone is going to be in that move making money. Someone is going to be in that move losing their ass. People that are in the marketplace that have lots of money at risk, they put stop losses in. Okay? Large traders have large positions. They have to have some measure of protecting that equity. They're not just letting it just rip and roll. Smart money does not use stop losses because they already know what they're participating in is going to happen. They're a tier of trader at a central bank level. You're never seeing them. They're not teaching things. They're not commenting on CNBC. They're not writing fucking books. They're not doing teaching circuits. They're out there cannibalizing every one of us. When I talk about smart money, that's who that is. It's not fucking Goldman Sachs. They're not smart. They're highly profitable, but they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. If you compare and contrast what it is I'm taught you, what I'm educating and executing with. You ever seen Anton Krill do a trade? You ever watch him put a trade on, put a stop loss on? He's probably going to block me now. He blocked me before, but I'm being sincere. Has anyone ever seen him do that? Once? I've never seen him do it. I'd like to watch it. I'd like to see what's going through your mind when you see the price action. What do you anticipate happening? Where do you see future trades forming an entry where you can pyramid it? Because I'm doing that. I'm highlighting the chart right where I know it's going to do something that you haven't even seen in your chart yet. Guess what that is? That's fucking time travel. There's nothing like this, folks. There's nothing like this. And you are a part of history because you were all here when it was made public. You were part of it. Whether you liked me or you didn't like me, you were here when it happened. And I'm telling you, there's dozens of books that have my name and logo on it right now, but there's going to be thousands of fucking people that's going to know about us from future books that's going to be written about. Everything that you had firsthand knowledge of. You watched it. You were here in history when this stuff was made known. That's cool. That has nothing to do with me. It's the fact that the community element of it is just really neat. You know, I was learning about GAN and I was learning about, everything that would constitute, my early stages of what I would view technical analysis and what concepts and whatnot. I always thought, like, what would it have been like to be directly taught by GAN? What would it be like to be taught right side by side, hearing the words live over a chart? This is what's going to happen. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't have that same affinity now, but when I was younger, that's how I thought about it. And I tried to think about how all the things that I wanted to see as a dream, if I had a dream encounter of having a mentor that really knew what was going on and had an understanding about price action that was unrivaled, what would it be like? How amazing would it be to be able to see them outline something and it come to pass all the time? Just literally just at the fingertips, just go out there and say, okay, here's what's going to happen and watch it happen. Because I was frustrated as a young man, expecting simply because the market was oversold based on a 10 period stochastic, on an hourly chart. I figured that's enough for me to call it oversold. I had no idea what I was doing. And because it was oversold and it started crossing up and the K and D lines were crossed and they were starting to go up, which we call stacking now, that means it should go up tomorrow. That means it should start going up. And I could be a buyer because I only wanted to be a buyer. And then I would watch the things that I try to do then not work. And it would create anger in me. Like I was resentful that the stochastic didn't lift price up. I had a 50-day moving average. It was slanted up. It was pointing up. So therefore, I didn't need to know about a trend line, which I still have no belief in. I think it's bullshit. But the 50-day moving average, simple moving average, that eventually became an exponential moving average. If it was sloping up, and if you were looking at like a trend line, if it had an angle that was inclining, that told me that I want to be a buyer. And all I needed was to see an oversold condition on an hourly chart with the 10 period stochastics. And once it was oversold, I waited for the K and D lines to cross. And then once it came up out of the oversold, the next day, I wanted to be a buyer. What was I trying to do? I was waiting for the opening price to go down first. Why? Because Larry Williams was teaching me to be a buyer of strength. And every time I tried that, Larry, no disrespect, but I had my ass handed to me. I was buying many times as an institutional order flow on a fucking short sell in a fair value gap. And then it would rip lower and then tear my face off. Now, I didn't know that back then. Nobody else was talking about that shit then. But I learned these lessons from losing money. I lost a lot of fucking money doing shit that I thought was working or should have worked and it didn't. And I would get angry, resentful. I would be mad. These fucking indicators. And I would try to mess around. See if I can get the settings to be calibrated. We're going to calibrate the indicators tonight, Uncle Stan. Uncle Stan, I got it down. We're going to go to a 9 period because that's going to make a fucking world of difference, right? It didn't do shit. It just gave me another excuse to go out there the next day and lose more money. That's all it did. I was not looking at price. I was not looking at price. And as soon as I discovered where I was going wrong by looking at indicators, then I said, okay, let me go back to the logic. Okay, and this is for the crowd that's listening that love stochastic. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to use it and make money. Okay, you ready? What did you just say? Oh shit! Now you wait. I'll wait for you to get your pen and pad. Now you want to write shit down, right? Yeah, I'll give you a second. I gotta write this down. He's talking about indicators now. That's my shit. That's my jam. Now let's go back and go through the normal process of a normal, well-adjusted ICT student. We're looking at a weekly chart. We come to the conclusion that we expect that weekly chart to resume going up. Okay, it has unfinished business. It's an imbalance above price. It could be reaching up into, or relative equal highs, or a singular high it's gravitating towards. Is that complicated? Because it's going to be one or the other, or in the better condition, it's going to offer both. That means you have a real strong probability that the weekly expansion is going to be up. Doesn't mean we're trying to predict the weekly close. It just means that our focus should be primarily focused on a gravitation in price going higher. That means bottom line is we are trying to be a buyer going into the next week. I'm not saying that's the case for this coming week. I'm saying hypothetically from a rule-based idea. So that way we're setting a foundation for the implementation of an overbought, oversold, i.e. stochastic. So this is how I learned to move away from the indicators, but I had first this stage. Once I understood how to read price, then I could go back in and say, okay, now I'm in a position where I think the market was going to go higher. Now I still haven't learned how to short sell yet. That was too scary for me. Like I didn't understand selling something I couldn't have my hands on. Like when I buy something, I have it. When I bought shares, or I bought an option, or I bought a commodity futures contract. I understood that I have now the right to that. I can take delivery of it if I wait long enough. But selling short something that I don't even have didn't make any sense to me. So putting that aside for I've talked about it in the past, but this example is we're expecting the price to go higher. Okay, wonderful. Now go back to that premise of waiting for the market to open up. I abandoned buying strength because I learned that Larry Williams said that he wanted to understand how people could be a buyer below the opening price on big bullish days. And he was demanding that he see a 20% of the previous day's range be above the opening price for the S&P. And then he would be a buyer. To me, in hindsight, looking back at it, I discovered that I was many times buying on a 10 o'clock high, and then my stop loss that would be retracing down to a silver bullet that down today would be a new entry, or really a more sound entry if you didn't buy below the opening price. I would get stopped out there, and then what would happen? Think. I went long buying strength, then it retraces on me. My stop loss gets hit, or it scares me and I close the trade. But it goes into what you understand now as the fair value gap, which is a silver bullet. What's price going to do? Take off. I'm not in it. I'm demoralized. I'm angry. I'm upset. So I learned from that. I said, okay, I'm not going to wait for that retracement. I'm going to buy it as it drops underneath the opening. If I think it's going to go up, I want to find out where we open, and I want to see it drop down. So all I would do is use a 15-minute time frame. And whatever the low was, it was real close to going left. Whatever the first 15-minute low was, I don't care if it was 2 handles. That was what I needed it to go below. Once it did that, then I started buying it. In the beginning, it did not work well. It was me going in and losing lots of money doing that. I would go in and I would condition myself to say, okay, I'm going to figure this out because he says he wishes he could learn this. I'm going to fucking learn how to do that. I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm not going to lose more money with something I can't replicate with him saying he's willing to do that. That was the biggest milestone in my development, by understanding that a mentor, like for all of you, you might have seen me do something, okay? And there's a lot of my students that are guilty of this. And I understand because I experienced it myself. When you have a hero that you look up to and you're trying to learn from, it doesn't need to be trading, to be anything. And they can do something that you try very hard to emulate and try to do as close as you can to what they're able to do, and you fail, it builds a certain measure of animosity. It may not manifest itself vocally or in a manner where other people can see it, but internally you feel it and you wrestle with it. I was angry at Larry Williams because I felt like he was teaching something incomplete when he really wasn't. His stop loss allowed for a lot of gross retracement that I, as a trader, was unwilling to absorb, and I didn't have the money to absorb it. So I had to create something that was inspired as a challenge. I took it as a challenge. He said he couldn't. Well, shit. At that time, I couldn't make 10,000 become $1.2 million a year. I couldn't do that then. I can fucking do it next year, but that time I can't. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to scratch the itch the best I can and start delving into an area where he said he can't do that. Okay, I'm going to try to do something that he said he can't, and I think he's Mr. Everything in trading. So I'm going to devote my time into that. And I lost a lot of money trying to figure out a system of determining, how far will it drop down? How far will it go down? And then I started looking for, you know, more than single swing lows, and I'd start seeing the two relative equal lows. And then I would look at the overnight Globex low, and then there would be this little tiny segment of price action where it was one candle, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, resting right below relative equal lows. That was my banger. That was the one I wanted. That's the very setup that cracked the code for me that I figured out, okay, when that forms, I know that's the day that this fucker is going to make the low right there in that fair value gap, which I didn't call it a fair value gap then, but it traded down into that. That would be my initiation to go in long, because what is it doing? It's knocking out stops. It's taking out a support level, and it's going into an inefficiency. So that's where it's going to go. So if I can get my order in to buy as it drops down in a time when I think the weekly chart is going to go up, what am I doing? I'm buying below the opening price. What opening price, ICT? I know some of you are like, you keep talking about the opening price. What the fuck opening price are you talking about? Well, if I'm going to be up in the morning session trading the 9:30 opening, or if it was, the bond where I was trading the bonds, prior to equities opening, it's the opening price at the open outcry pit at the time, because back when I was trading in the 90s, we didn't have electronic trading. It was open outcry. So there was a whole lot of horse shit of calling the broker, and you heard all that stuff before. And the whole time the market's moving around. So you have to use limit orders. To trade like this, you had to have your limit orders resting in the marketplace, because you can't call up and do a market order. The shit's already gone, right? So what I discovered was that when the market would create these buying below the opening conditions, which were highly primed to go up, I was in an area where I felt very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Empowered, because it was repeating a lot. And I knew I had something, and I wanted to still go back in and ring in the stochastic, because it wasn't on my chart. And I felt like it would make it better if I did this. So I put the 10-period stochastic on an hourly chart back on my chart, and use the same logic. It has to be oversold. And then once it becomes oversold, does that same idea of the opening price see that drop down? And the whole aspect of a Judas goat came to mind. Like, if you've ever raised, animals or whatnot, if it's usually like pigs and goats, sheep, they employ a goat that's called a Judas, and it walks the livestock up to the slaughterhouse, but it takes a small little detour. It takes one little exit that the other ones won't. So it gets to be safe from the slaughterhouse, but it leads all the ones to slaughter. That initial drop down when the market's predisposed to go up, that's what I dubbed it as a Judas swing. Now, it led me astray many times when I was trying to be a short seller, because I was so excited about learning how to do short selling. I even got caught up in many times a Judas swing. So I had to relearn a lot of things and get my mindset corrected from those things, because I was chasing something new, shiny new object syndrome. So I abandoned what I had already learned by what I just told you here. That's how quick and easy it is for you to derail yourself and forget all the progress that you just made. If you see something new, okay, something new, or someone comes out and says ICT's unpublished or previously never shown before, or unleaked videos, bullshit, all that stuff, that's not going to help you, because everything that's going to teach you conceptually is already on the YouTube channel. It's equivalent to you now watching the videos of me taking a trade. It might be entertaining. Like, wow, look at that. I can see him doing it. But could you benefit from it monetarily? No. But you can see me using it. You have enough of that already. You don't need to buy into anything else. There's no reason for it. So it's important that you understand my departure from being on social media shouldn't be an invitation for you to just drop all progress and just say, that's it, I can't do it anymore because I can't be inspired. ICT is not here to encourage me when I am. Go back and listen to old Twitter spaces. It's the same thing as I'm saying it now. For some of you, you're going to be listening to this, months from now. You're going to get the same thing. Everything I'm saying here is timeless. It's an approach to taking something like many of you probably like that guy Tony Robbins. And you pay a lot of money for his stuff, his CDs, or read his book or whatnot. Those things are old or stale. But when you read them and they resonate with you, it feels like it's a right now word for you, right? I needed this right now. This is refreshing. I needed it. Well, I've already given you all of that. It's already there. You don't need an ongoing thing of me. There's thousands of hours of content that you can listen to be inspired by, and other things to maybe laugh about. So, you have everything that you need. But having that stochastic idea, I realized that, it became a matter of confusion where I was watching to see if the stochastic would behave a certain way versus seeing price behave a specific way. So I finally cast it off my chart and said, I'm not going to have any of that anymore. Nothing. And like I said many times before, the only time I have anything on my chart is because I know that you will be seeing what I'm doing. And I want you to see that I have this in my foresight. It's not something that I'm writing into my chart and annotating after the fact. I see it before it does it. And that is prowess. That's undeniable evidence and proof that it repeats. It's a real logic. And in my private group, I think it was last week. If memory serves me correct, I think it was last week. I'm getting older, folks. Senior moments kicking in once in a while. But I shared an example with them, and I was showing it by way of my cell phone. And I didn't notice it or not, but to me, it was just me doing what I always do anyway, which is execute on what I see in price. But TradingView had asked me to confirm my status, professional or unprofessional, for the data. And if you have a subscription package for real-time data, you know what I'm talking about. So because I hadn't responded to their questionnaire about it, they had disrupted my live data. So I was doing an example of trading what I thought was real-time price, and I had no reason not to think it wasn't, because I have real-time data through TradingView. And my student was like, "Hey, can you answer this? Why is that showing delayed data?" And at first I didn't understand what he was asking me. I'm like, "What? What is he talking about? Live? Is this live? What is he talking about?" And then I look at the top of the chart of the video I'm showing, and it has that little, I guess it was like an amber colored or something, and the letter D, I think is what it looks like. And then I was like, wow, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. So I later found out that I had to do the questionnaire, or not the questionnaire, but to tell them what my status was. And then once that was done, they reinstated my live data. But I felt uncomfortable for a second, because I'm thinking to myself, if that would have been on Twitter, you guys would have crucified me and forgot the myriad of examples of me calling it before it happens, trading it, and trading it with a live account where it's not a demo. You would have forgot everything and placed all of your hopes and prayers on that one event where you now can say it's fraud, because look at that right there. And I told them in my private mentorship, I said, I'm so glad that this happened after you have seen so many examples of me do this in front of you live, so many examples of me being able to explain it before it happens, and it's not during a paid mentorship. Because if that would have been a paid mentorship, that would have went over like gangbusters for people that don't like me. And for some of you, you're thinking to yourself, wow, we never would have known that. But that's the reality sometimes. Sometimes, when I'm looking at price, I'm laying in my bed. I wasn't in my trading room. You know, I didn't have all my monitors in front of me. It was just me laying in the bed with the puppies. And to me, because I'm not looking to see if it's delayed data or live data, because I'm assuming that my phone's pulling the live data like it would normally would anyway. I'm just executing on it. I'm just doing it and taking the trade and showing them this is where the stop would be. This is, you know, the target, whatnot, over and over and over again. And then when I share the video, you know, to me, it's what I've always done. It's no different than anything else. But it would be totally different had it been done here on Twitter. And you never would have known this had I not brought it up here today. But that's how I want to be with all of you. I want to be forthcoming. I want to be able to, where you don't have to worry about, and there's no ulterior motive. There's nothing, no catch. I really want to see you succeed. And there's been the greatest effort I could make to be able to inspire you to do what it's going to require you to do to learn how to do this. And it's available for people to make a model that's completely unique to yourself. There's enough information on that YouTube channel to take and build yourself something completely unique that no other student of mine is using. And you could have that as your model for the rest of your life and pass it on to your children. Never write a book about it, never teach it as a mentorship, never give signals on it, and be wildly profitable and happy. I would love to see that happen, you know? But some of you are going to try to complicate this when I didn't complicate it myself. And you got to be very careful not to do that. Just because I have lots of things in my toolbox doesn't mean you got to bring every Phillips head and flathead screwdriver to the job that only requires a hammer. Yeah, you have to simply settle down and realize what it is that you're trying to do. Because strip down technical science real quick for me, ICT. Make it simple so that way I can grasp it. We're looking for a time, a period of 1 month, where the likelihood of the market to reach to a group of orders that are resting in the marketplace above the current market price. Where would they be resting? Logically, it would be above a singular high or a swing high, or above relative equal highs that are in close proximity. The one that has the relative equal highs, that's going to take precedence over a singular high because the idea that it inspires resistance. Any inefficiency above price is a likely draw on liquidity. It's further compounded to likely if your weekly analysis is suggesting that it's going to try to gravitate up anyway. So now what have you done? You've taken a stage where the market is predisposed by your analysis, and you can be wrong. How do I remove that? You don't. You're always embracing uncertainty as a trader. You are a manager of uncertainty. That's what trading is. That's it. You have no control of the outcome. You have no control of the absolute amount of drawdown or profit or the success or failure of your next trade. You can't control that outcome. You submit yourself to the likelihood that if it does this, I can profit this much. But if it does this, I stand to lose this, and it's okay. I can still be in the game, and it won't rattle me to the point where I am afraid to take another trade. That is a big balancing act. And so many of you discount that, thinking it's not going to be significant of a factor for you, when it is the very underlying factor that's keeping you to be successful. And you know it many times, but you keep pushing it aside and ignoring it and saying, no, I just need to find a better entry strategy. I need to know when it's a right shift in market structure. Fella, listen, okay, I see you tweeting to me. You have to spend more time on the higher